author, I'm going to read them exactly as they're written. Can I share a story from my childhood with you? When I was at school, a teacher who liked to tell us about all the fun trips and activities her two blonde sons got to do at their school. We did not get to do those kinds of activities. They lived in the suburbs of our city. Their school had a whole lot more money than ours did. It also had teachers who cared about their students because their students were like them. I do not think my students cared about us, mostly black and brown children. As a white woman who existed mostly in a dominant culture, she shared her biases with us, whether her intention was to do so or not. The classroom appeared welcoming. Our desks were in small groups of 4. The windows let in a lot of natural light. The reading corner in the back of the classroom was inviting with an orange chairs and a semicircle around a small rug. Our teacher read aloud to us every day. My teacher is an alien was my favorite. But she did little things to remind us that she was in charge, that we were powerless, and that some of our lives were worth more and some of our lives were worth less. One time, she refused to let my classmate use the restroom all morning long. His desk was diagonal from mine. He raised his hand again. Our teacher ignored him until he had an accident and pulled at his feet and on our desks. She wasn't empathetic or sympathetic. She yelled at him. He was the only Latinx boy in our classroom. He had done nothing wrong. She tried to humiliate him and showed us all that she had the power to take away our humanity. She decided whether we could use the bathroom, not us. Her actions and words made my classmate feel so small. She showed us that she didn't care about us. There was the other time she yelled at my darker friend in front of the classroom because he corrected her on the misinformation she gave us. He and I often corrected our teacher on her misspellings. I remember pointing out to her once that Asia should only have 2 A's instead of 3. She yelled at him, called him the name of an animal, and prefaced it with black and African. She said those words with so much anger, they turned ugly in her mouth. She tried to make us fear my friend. Her words told us there was something wrong with being black and African. She tried to make us feel like he was less than human. She showed us she didn't care about us. My teacher's prejudice was overt, and she had power. It was easy to see, hear, and feel. We could name it. She didn't like black and brown children. She didn't like our city school. That was obvious to us. We didn't understand why she was our teacher. Why did she stay at our school? Why was she allowed to stay there? Why did none of the other adults care that she was so kind and unjust towards us, 9 and 10-year-olds? I felt powerless in her classroom because she shared her racist belief with us every day in a very negative way. I'll share with you some things you can do if you're in a situation like this in the next section. While some forms of racism are easy to notice and name, others are less overt. You may not be as aware of them right away. For instance, as long as I can remember, people, in particular white people, have asked me, "What are you?" Sometimes it's followed with, "No, like, what are you?" Throughout my life, I've answered differently. I'm Tiffany. I am human. I am a person. I am black. I am biracial. But when I was a kid, I never knew how to answer because I didn't know why I was being asked that question. Asking me what I am is a common microaggression that folks in the dominant culture ask those in the subordinate culture. Because my race was not clear to some, they felt the need to question me in order to categorize me. They needed to know if I was one of them or not. I even had a friend make a game of guessing what my race is. Race isn't a game, though. It's part of our lives. Microaggression. A microaggression is an intentional or unintentional insult, slight, or hostile negative message to folks who do not fit in the imaginary box of dominant culture. They can occur anytime and anywhere. Sometimes microaggressions are spoken like, "Where were you born?" to an Asian British person in London. Other times they are acted out, like crossing the street to the other side of the street when you see a black man or a shop owner ignoring a brown person and only addressing the white customers. Microaggressions, no matter how small they may seem, are harmful. Internalized racism. When you experience microaggressions repeatedly, the effects accumulate and can lead to low self-esteem, depression, poor health, and thinking the stereotypes are true. Believing that you are inferior, acting on the negative messages about folks of the same race as you, and even denying your ethnic and cultural heritage are examples of internalized racism. Personal racism. Personal racism reinforces the power of the institutions, and the institutions uphold prejudice with racist laws and policies. Personal prejudice and acting on it is what killed Trayvon Martin in 2012. George Zimmerman used his fear of black men and his internalized racial superiority to justify why he felt threatened by the teenager. Trayvon was on his way to his dad's house from the convenience store. He carried a pack of Skittles and a can of iced tea in his hands. Zimmerman saw a stereotype and took Trayvon's life. Even as a grown man, he managed to see young Trayvon as a threat. He wasn't. He was found not guilty of the murder because of institutions created the tools to allow for him to go free. The Stand Your Ground law allowed for George Zimmerman to not be arrested after he shot and killed Trayvon Martin. He claimed self-defense, even though Zimmerman was in his car and Trayvon was walking to his dad's house. And in Florida, if you use this claim, you may be exempt from being arrested. Understanding the ways racism lives in each of us allows us to ask questions and examine structures. Whether we hold on to internalized racial oppression, if you are a person of the global majority, or internalized racial superiority, if you are white or white passing person of color, we need to be aware of the biases we hold and question them. So now take a moment, reflect, think about what you just heard, and remember there is a difference between preference and prejudice. Have you ever experienced microaggressions or seen someone else experience them? How do you think these experiences make people feel? Either write, upload a video, or write in your journal and upload a pic of that video, of that reflection. All right, great job, guys. Can't wait to see it.